So it'd be great. Thank you. Hi, Kathy. Good morning. Go ahead and introduce yourself if you're able to in the chat. Hi, Yi. Thank you. Good morning. All right. And thank you very much, everybody. I still see people joining. And if you're just getting on the call, if you could say hello and introduce yourself in the chat, that would be great. Thanks everybody for making time to be here. We're going to get started shortly. We're just making sure everybody's admitted from the waiting room. Good morning, Faith and Yuko. Thank you for being here. All right, and we've got a couple more people joining. If you could introduce yourself in the chat if you're able to. Thank you everybody for being here and welcome Anne. All right, Miko. And hello, Rosa. Good morning. Um, we're going to go ahead and get started with the agenda here. If you're just joining, please say hello in the chat. Wonderful to have everybody here. Excuse me. May is such a busy time, full of celebrations and end of year events. And so I really appreciate everybody making time to be here for this meeting this morning. Thank you. So I wanted to share with you as our first item under information, the LCAP parent survey results. These were a part of our engagement process for the LCAP. We do this every year, and we've been trying to increase our participation, our response rate. And this year, we we had a big jump in response rate and some really important feedback that I wanted to share with you. We shared this information at one of the board meetings and highlighted these key purposes. We sent this out through Parent Square. You can see the survey window there. It was open in February and March. And we wanted to, we've been kind of inching up. We were at 22%, and then we were trying to hit 30% participation from each school's population, 30% at each school. And so we went into this year's survey hoping to meet that, and we actually exceeded it. So that was exciting. We really appreciate hearing from lots of different voices and making sure that we have participation across the schools. So I'll share with you what we heard. There are different aspects of the survey. Some of them are locally decided, and some are part of our state requirements around something called the local indicator. So we ask questions about culture and climate and communication and involvement and decision making and resources, as well as our local focus on portrait of a learner and future ready learning. And so this was exciting. We had 2,305 more responses than last year, and we were up 17% in response rate. So overall, 49% response participation from parents. Thank you to our principals and parent leaders who helped push this out there. We had over 6,000 responses, so that's great. You know, when we do these surveys, we want to be sure we're hearing from a wide range of people across the district, and so we were very excited to see that almost 50% of our parents took time to complete the survey. And thank you to you if you were one of them. And this one's just showing that we had great participation, really strong across all of the schools. You can see your school there. Some were even above 50%. So really wonderful response from our parents this year. And this is an important piece of feedback that we take under consideration as we're setting the goals for the next year. And then this is just giving you more information about the survey respondents and where the students are and how, we had participation from parents of children with IEPs and children who are English language learners as well. And going on to the next slide. Now we're getting into the different areas of the survey. So this one is overall, and we can see that the donut there, the key is in the bottom. So we're looking at the darker blue is strongly agree, and then the turquoise is agree, and then that gray is the neutral. So um, when we look at agree or strongly agree, we had 89% of the survey participants said that they are overall satisfied with their child's education in CUSD. So we were very, happy to see that high number there. And then this is asking about culture and climate. So we have three different areas. Students feel welcome and comfortable in class. Staff value students' diverse cultures and past experiences. And then students getting along with each other and respecting their differences. So this area is also, very high, 93% overall favorable across these different areas. So a lot of really strong responses in that strongly agree area. This is something that our schools have been working a lot on, really building that sense of belonging. So, really happy to see those results as well. This area is communication. So, asking about, are parents feeling comfortable communicating with teachers and staff? Is the school communicating effectively overall with families? And also regarding their child's progress. So, again, looking at the turquoise and the darker blue, very high overall response, 89% favorable in this area as well. This one is about parent and family involvement. So you can see the three different areas there. Do the parents feel that staff help them? Do parents feel that parents in general are involved and that schools want the parent involvement? So 85% overall in this area, favorable, agree or strongly agree. And this one is, do parents feel informed about school and district decisions, and do parents feel that they have opportunities to give input into decision making processes, through things like this meeting or site council meeting or principal coffees, those kinds of things. So this one, 82% favorable, relatively lower than the other areas. And this one, we always are trying to make a strong emphasis on, because we want parents to know that we value that engagement and partnership. And we know that sometimes those areas aren't always visible to parents. So I know all of our principals have been really placing a strong emphasis on this as well. And this one is, my child's school shares resources and information to support my child's learning, and this was 84% favorable. So very happy to see that we're over, 80% in all areas, and we can go to the next slide. And also, this year we asked some open-ended questions about Portrait of a Learner and Future Ready Learning. And in the past, we haven't had great tools for having open-ended responses, but now with our AI tools that can help us analyze thousands of open ended responses, we're so happy to be able to include an open ended box, because we know we get a lot of very important information from that kind of opportunity. So we were asking about our work in Portrait of a Learner. You can see the questions there on the left hand side. And our takeaways in this area is that parents do see that we have been working on this in our classrooms. This is not new. The idea that we want kids to be prepared with skills like communication and collaboration and critical thinking. Um, Parents were able to share lots of different ways that they see that kids are practicing these competencies now, and also encouraged us to continue our focus on academic excellence and rigor, making sure the children are challenged, but also that we're keeping an eye on the whole child, and always that ever present focus on student safety, both within the school community, positive, welcoming school climates, as well as external safety factors like continuing to finish the completion of the fencing projects, for example. Parents also encourage the district to increase opportunities for the students in the areas that are listed there under the green bar. So recognizing the importance of whole child education. The children are growing in so many different ways, not just in their academic areas, but just in all the ways, growing socially and emotionally and physically, wanting more opportunities for PE and sports, for us to continue expanding arts and music. And particularly in that area, there were numerous comments about hoping that the district could take on some of the expenses in those areas that parent groups have been providing funds for. Lots of comments about the value of student clubs and building up our school libraries, and then comments regarding the integration of future ready skills and technology, such as robotics, coding, and AI. So it was great to see so many parents took the time to fill out the open ended portion of the survey as well. So this now is looking back from last school year to this school year. And you can see in some areas we've remained flat but strong, and in other areas we were happy to see some increases. Okay, and I won't go too far into this, but this is kind of looking ahead to the next year. Of course, we want to raise the scores even more, and we're hoping for even more participation into the next school year. So thank you again for everybody who took the time to do that. I think we don't probably need to go into the rest of this because it'll be part of the LCAP conversation. So we can go um, on to the next area here in a moment, but I'll pause to see if anybody wanted to add anything in the chat or ask a question about the parent survey. Okay, moving on. So at our last meeting, we talked about the local control and accountability plan, and we talked about the different sections of the plan and kind of how the process goes. This is the district's improvement plan that all districts in the state complete, all public school districts, and it runs in a 3-year cycle. So we are in the first year of implementing a 3-year plan. We're finishing up the first year of the 3-year plan. And the document's really long. So every year I like to make this kind of like the cheat sheet for the LCAP to see what's in there without having to, go through the 150 pages. And I found this to be somewhat helpful. So what's happening in the LCAP cycle right now is we're finalizing the document. If you had a chance to open the document, you might notice some of the budget pieces aren't all the way done. We're still working through it. We're in the phase of finishing the draft, and then in June we'll be bringing it to the board. What is next for this team is at our next meeting, which I believe is May 27th. Yeah, at our next meeting, I'll be asking you as parents if you have questions for the superintendent about our LCAP. And this is part of your role as a PAC DELAC parent. It's actually one of the requirements of the plan that we ask PAC DELAC parents if they have questions for the superintendent, and then we post the questions and the responses on the website as part of our engagement process. So that's coming up at the next meeting. And I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to see the draft and talk about what's in there ahead of that moment where you'll have a chance to ask those questions to Superintendent Yao. So just scrolling back up to the top, I'll talk about this and then we'll pull up the plan and I can help orient you to it. So in our LCAP, we have 3 goal areas. These are the same as last school year, and all of the actions are the same as last school year. So we're finishing the first year of implementing the 3-year plan, and we're providing an update on what we have accomplished and then what adjustments we'll be making for the next year. So goal 1 is future ready deeper learning. This is all about supporting the kids academically as well as in those competencies from our portrait of a learner. And under this goal area, we have all of those supportive pieces that fall underneath that. And you'll notice some of the actions are called contributing actions. You might remember that when we talked about the LCAP's purpose, the primary purpose of the LCAP is to support our unduplicated students. And what that means is our students who are English learners, low income, and foster youth. So when we say there's a contributing action, it means it's contributing to our support of unduplicated students. It also benefits other students in many cases, but that primary purpose of supporting our students who may need more supports at school. So under goal one, we have, I won't read all of them, but it's things like our intervention programs, supporting Sunday coaching in special education. Sunday is a method, a structured literacy method for reading. Our assessments, like our iReady diagnostic, our digital tools that help support personalized learning, our instructional assistants who also help in the reading intervention program. All of those kind of academic supports are listed under goal one. And then in goal two, we're kind of zooming out and thinking about the whole child, those social, emotional, behavioral supports that help create those welcoming school environments. So under goal two, we have things such as counseling and mental health, student success liaisons. Those are wonderful support providers who work at two of our higher needs middle schools. They're kind of campus supervisors out and about with the kids providing support. It's things like how we support our homeless and foster youth, our work in the area of PBIS, I bet you're familiar with as parent leaders, nursing, electives, ELAP, after school supports, and our behavior support team, everything that is supportive of that whole child. And then under goal three, we have our community engagement goal, and this is about engaging and partnering with parents in the community. So we have things like parent education, translation resources, parent liaisons, and then our project cornerstone. One area of the updated LCAP that we respond to is noting new metrics that are added to the LCAP. And so I included some of those things there. In our future ready deeper learning work around portrait of a learner, one of the things we're working on is making sure our staff has access to AI tools to help them with their efficiency. And so we added a metric around that. And then also annually, we give something called the CHECK survey, the California Healthy Kids survey. And we had been focusing on safety and connection in that area as some of our metrics. And in our work with Future Ready Learning, we wanted to also lift up another section of the survey that we've collected data on, but we didn't have it in the LCAP, and that is meaningful participation. We feel like this area really captures a lot of what we're trying to do with our Portrait of a Learner. And this is about how kids feel their voices are heard at school and that their learning matters. So things like at school, I do interesting activities, I help decide things, I do things that make a difference, I have a say in how things work, things like that. So we'll add that as one of our metrics to take a closer look at what the kids are saying about their experience at school. Okay, so the longer document, I'll just give you an orientation to that and then we'll pause and see what questions or if you need any further clarification, we can do that. So the first part, the budget's still being worked on. So that part, the budget overview for parents it's not filled in yet, but we'll go to the next section. So at the beginning part of the document, you're going to see just the general, it's kind of like background information. And we're hitting on all the required components there, describing the district, reminding the reader about the different areas of focus. And then the next section is going to be reflections on how it went this year, reflections on the annual performance indicators. And then we'll talk about the different meetings that we had to gather input and engage everybody in providing feedback. That's that engaging educational partners section. And then there will be the actual goals itself. So this part here is what is summarized on that bulleted list that I just went through. So in each goal, you can see there's a metric section and there's a description of the metric, the baseline that we included last year, and then the results for this year, and then what is our 3-year target, and then the current difference from baseline. So that's capturing the progress for just this school year on our 3-year plan. So I think we'll go back to the shorter version since this is, I know it's just visually overwhelming. We have these templates are, required and they're not the most readable. So that's why we're using this to help us, just make it a little more readable. But we're happy to pull up the longer document if we need to do that as well. So again, today we're just orienting you to what's in there so that at the next meeting you can come with your questions for Superintendent Yao. Does anybody have um, a question or a comment or anything they would like to say about the current draft? You can raise your hand or put it in the chat. Okay, well, so at the next meeting, we'll see if anybody has any questions. And like I said, the PAC DELAC has a really important role in this in finalizing the document. We will be giving you the chance to ask your questions, and then we post those questions on the website to Superintendent Yao and the written response as well. We also invite any other parent who wants to come to the next meeting to do that. So we send out a notice. So you might see some other, neighbors and friends at the meeting if they choose to join for next time. So we want to make sure everybody has a chance to ask those questions prior to the public hearing and the board adoption in June. Okay, so I look forward to seeing everybody at the next meeting on May 27th. And thank you very much. Wish you a wonderful rest of the month and many happy celebrations as the school year comes to a close. Thank you, everyone.